Improvements will prepare the facility for larger events and year-round programming. The Government of Canada is working with partners to drive community infrastructure projects that strengthen local economies, support inclusive growth, and make life better for Canadians. Today, Mike Kellaway, Parlia. For 3 days in Reykjavik, leaders from across the world came together to act on the urgent challenges facing the Arctic. With over 200 participants from 70 countries, the Arctic Circle Assembly is a vital forum for advancing cooperation on climate change, energy security, economic development, Today, the Honourable Reki Valdez, Minister of Women and Gender Equality and Secretary of State, announced this year's recipients of the Governor-General's Awards in commemoration of the person's case. The Governor-General Awards in commemoration of the person's case were created to celebrate the one. The Governor-General's Awards in commemoration of the person's case recognize Canadians who have made outstanding contributions to the advancement of gender equality. The 2025 award recipients are Damine Akhavan, FEC, P.ENG. MBA Damine is an award-winning engineer, advocate, and community leader. There will be a media availability immediately following the announcement. Time 10:15 a.m. Location Vancouver, British Columbia. Members of the media are asked to contact media relations at media@hc-sc.gc.cato. Receive event location details and confirm their attendance. Media may also join by Zoom. https. Today, the Honourable Patty Hajdu, Minister of Jobs and Families and Minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario, issued the following statement: Canada's strength comes from our workers, and the Government of Canada's support for them will not waver. Today, Canada's federal, provincial and territorial ministers of health met in Calgary for a full day of discussions focused on strengthening the health and well-being of Canadians. Strengthening Canada's health systems. Canada-US relations and pharmaceuticals ministers reviewed Canada-US health rel. Lax Naga Stsul, Mludix Mlaxiab Jitsala Nation beneath the waters west of Lax Kanaga Stsul, ancient corals, swaying kelp forests, and thriving eelgrass beds provide food, shelter, and life for countless marine species. For Jitsala people, these places are part of an unbroke joint news release. Haida Nation, Fisheries and Oceans Canada. Haida Gwe, B.C. Today, the President of the Haida Nation, Gagwiai's Jason Alsop, and the Minister of Fisheries, the Honourable Joanne Thompson, formally announced 2 marine refuges on Haida Gwe, Gia Alii and Exena Kalii. Our communities can only grow to support more housing when there are investments in foundational infrastructure projects, like public transit, water systems, and local roads and bridges. With today's announcement, that is exactly what the Government of Canada is delivering on. With the funding anno. The Honourable Sean Fraser, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada and Minister responsible for the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, the Honourable Gary Anandasangari, Minister of Public Safety Canada, and Ruby Sahota, the Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime. Today is, quote, "We wanted to create a story that contributed to the mythology of the place where we're raising our kids. If you live in New York, every street has been mythologized. We wanted to do that for Montreal. We wanted to do what Pink Floyd did for London with the floating pig over the Battersea." The Minister of Finance and National Revenue, the Honourable François-Philippe Champagne, today announced relief to support Canadian businesses affected by the countermeasures Canada has announced in response to the tariffs imposed by the United States. In keeping with the government's approach to Public Services and Procurement Canada is hosting a media event at its GC Surplus warehouse in Montreal, Quebec, to showcase its role in selling and donating surplus government assets. The event will highlight some of the unique items available and demonstrate how GC Surplus supports environmental SU. Our 2 official languages are at the heart of Canadian identity. They make us unique, unite us, and enrich our culture and economy from coast to coast to coast. Promoting and protecting them starts with education. Supporting minority language education and second official language instruction is ES. The Government of Canada is committed to advancing clean, reliable, and affordable energy solutions while supporting Indigenous leadership in building Canada's clean energy future. Today, the Honourable Buckley Belanger, Secretary of State, on behalf of the Honourable Tim Hodgson, Minister of Energy. The Honourable Heath MacDonald, Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food, concluded a 4-day trade and relationship-building trip to Mexico to reinforce Canada's commitment to strengthen commercial ties and promote Canadian agriculture and agri-food. Building off Prime Minister Mark Carney's recent trip. New diagnostic testing system at UPEI strengthens industry sustainability, supports recovery from recent challenges. Canada's shellfish industry is a vital part of Atlantic communities, supporting jobs and contributing to local economies. Recent challenges, including the impacts of Hurricane Fiona A. The CRTC is taking another step forward to help protect and empower Canadians in their dealings with internet, cell phone, and television service providers. Today, the CRTC is launching a public consultation to help ensure that Canadians with unresolved complaints get clear and timely information about. The Honourable Recky Valdez, Minister of Women and Gender Equality and Secretary of State, will make an important announcement in support of Black entrepreneurs across Canada. A media availability will follow the announcement. Time: the event will start at 9:30 am. Media are asked to arrive at 9:15. To that end, Mike Kellaway, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Transport and Internal Trade and Member of Parliament for Sydney Glace Bay, John White, Member of the Legislative Assembly for Glace Bay Dominion, and His Worship, Cecil Clark, Mayor of the Cape Breton Regional Municipality Anno. Today, the Honourable Julie DeBrussen, Minister of Environment and Climate Change, and the Honourable Mike Moyes, Minister of Environment and Climate Change for Manitoba, announced up to $32 million in combined federal and provincial funding for projects to lower energy costs for Manitobans and reduce GR. The Honourable Anita Anand, Minister of Foreign Affairs, today announced the following diplomatic appointment. Robert Sinclair will become Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Kingdom of Sweden. Mr. Sinclair will replace Jason Latourie. Robert Sinclair joined the Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade in 1995. At headquarters, he has worked in threat assessment and intelligence services, South Asia relations and international human rights, as well as in the Legal Bureau. From 2019 to 2021, he served in the mission of. Today, Chris Mallett, Member of Parliament for the Bay of Kent, on behalf of the Minister of National Defence, the Honourable David J. McGuinty, announced the official opening of the Canadian Coast Guard's new search and rescue station in Cobourg, Ontario. This modern station is strategically located. The Government of Canada is committed to appointing highly qualified candidates who are able to best serve the interests of Canadians, through open, transparent and merit-based selection processes for all Governor and Council appointments. In keeping with this commitment, the Minister of Finance and Ms. Stephanie Coyles currently serves on the Board of Directors for Sun Life Financial and Metro. Past board memberships include Chorus Entertainment, Hudson's Bay Company, and Post Media Network. Prior to becoming a corporate director, Ms. Coyles was Chief Strategic Officer at Loyalty One Company from 200.